I got played by a TikTok influencer for 9 months, and I think it's time that I expose his trashy ass behavior. We started talking in May of last year, right before my birthday, and he wooed me. He was very kind. I felt really excited and thankful that I found somebody who, at the time, I thought respected me for more than my physical appearance. And yeah, I literally could have never imagined or even fathomed what was gonna end up happening after talking for 9 months. I'm really embarrassed to admit this, but I created a private story on Snapchat for just him and named it For Your Eyes Only, and he loved it. He loved the attention that I was giving him and the fact that he knew that I wasn't entertaining anybody else the way I was entertaining him. Within the first 2 to 3 months, he had told me on 2 separate occasions that I was wife material and that he was, quote-unquote, sold on my wifey application.
He did inform me that there was no roster, essentially implying I was the only person he was talking to, the only person he was receiving photos from. And I was, again, fine with that. But of course, if you're going to tell me that there's no roster and I'm the only person you're talking to.
And also any person who has been a victim of this certain political TikToker, I am always available to talk if you need support or just somebody to talk to.
I want to talk openly and honestly about this entire controversy that has exploded in the past week. First and foremost, I want to start by saying I should have told the people I was talking to that there were other people, and of course I regret that decision, and I've reflected on it a lot, and I'm learning and going to be better in the future.
One of the most shocking parts about this whole Harry Sisson quote-unquote controversy is that Harry Sisson turned out to be a closeted straight this whole entire time. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about this story of Harry Sisson apparently soliciting nude images from a bunch of different various girls. Many of them, by the way, are quite attractive, while simultaneously telling them that they were the only girl for him. And now all of them are starting to come out and talk about how Harry did this. And of course, they're really actually mad about the fact that Harry announced that he has a girlfriend, meaning he was lying to all of them. Now, of course, Harry Sisson has issued multiple different apologies. He's so sad and so very upset about this, and that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
He was frequently saving my snaps and just making me feel good about myself, call me beautiful and gorgeous, so it's how could I not read into that? 6 months into talking, he suddenly is I'm not looking for any commitment and I'm not in a place to find anything long-term right now. I'm just really busy, blah, blah, blah. And I was understanding. I was fine keeping things casual. However, I couldn't help but feel that he led me on. And he even admitted to that. He's yeah, that's on me for not making my intentions clear. Okay. He tells me couple more times after that he doesn't want commitment. And then next thing I know, he's posting a soft launch thirst trap of him and his new girlfriend 2 weeks ago.
Now, I just want to point out one thing right off the top because it needs to be said. None of the women, 0 of the women who have come out to talk about Harry Sisson soliciting nudes, saying that Harry told them that they were the only girl for him and then sending him said nudes, are victims in any way, shape, or form. In fact, a bunch of these women's stories are so ridiculous and absurd from top to bottom that they quite literally start with, I started following Harry, I started flirting with him, then he flirted back with me, but of course, he didn't pick me, he didn't choose me to be his girlfriend IRL, therefore I'm very, very hurt about this. And again, give credit where credit is due to the young Mr. Sisson because a lot of these women are quite attractive.
Actually, prior to this, I had found out that he around with somebody else by him going live on TikTok and showing hickeys on his neck. That's how I literally found out that he was around. And so I confronted him about it, right? Like any normal person would do. And he got all defensive and started gaslighting me. Basically saying that I was overreacting and all this stuff. And I was You're kidding me, right?
Now, other versions of this story, by the way, are attractive girl ended up going to Harry's penthouse in Jersey, possibly in Jersey City, because if you guys aren't aware, Harry Sisson has rich parents. That's who connected him with the Democratic Party and why he is a paid shill for them and all of that. And I stayed at his penthouse and I hooked up with them from time to time. And then in other situations, when I ended up messaging him and I ended up wanting to talk about serious political issues with Mr. Harry Sisson, he ended up soliciting naked images from me, and I just found that disgusting because even though we had an agreement that we would hook up and that was basically the extent of our relationship, a friends with benefits situation, in certain contexts in my own head, I decided that I wanted to be taken very, very seriously as a political commentator, and it appears that Harry Sisson, again, closeted straight and shockingly so, was not about that. Harry wanted to just see images of my body, and I'm just totally shocked by that.
For even more context, I met Harry in summer of 2020. We were both kind of like the original political TikTokers, and we were on the Dem High Pass, which was a huge political TikTok account. Our relationship has always been friend-based. However, when I did go to Jersey to visit my aunt, he has a summer house there, so we did hook up a couple times. So it was kind of like friends with benefits, but it was kind of established that if we saw each other in person, we'd probably hook up. But our conversations outside of seeing each other in person or whatever were never really like flirty or anything like that. So I was never under any sort of impression that we were exclusive ever. We never were like that. So my story is going to be different than a lot of these girls.
Now again, nearly every single one of these TikTok videos of these women coming out and exposing Harry is some version of that, including this one right here, where this girl, quite literally, I thought she was using a filter to make her eyes bigger because she has the eyes that are the size of a Disney character, also had similar complaints. But to make matters even worse, some of these women were just randoms from the internet who were sending him images that did not actually meet him up in person or anything of the sort. And they were very surprised that Harry Sisson, who told them, "Baby, you're the only girl for me," was actually lying. Now, of course, obviously, I'm treating this with the lack of seriousness that this so-called scandal deserves, because in reality, this is some of the most normal behavior for a heterosexual male humanly possible. And I'm gonna have to ask you ladies to leave the room right now. So, just get out of here, because I'm gonna share a bit of wisdom for you and everybody out there in the audience. But I don't think ladies need to be tuned in to this particular secret, because obviously this is top level information. All right, you're out of the room? You're gone? Okay. Come here. Come a little closer. Men will lie to women in order to get things from women of a romantic or sexual nature. That's what Harry Sisson was doing, and for these women to be surprised about that is honestly can be attributed to their age in part, but in addition to that can be attributed to their complete and utter naivety, and of course, how ridiculously they bought into the Democratic Party propaganda, because a bunch of these different women have also talked about the fact that Harry Sisson, the innocent Baba Angel, has been propped up as a champion for women, and somehow he is using his status as a male feminist as a way to sleep with women, as an in order to, attract these women. And even though he has the same intentions all the normal misogynist men actually have when it comes to women. And again, this should be surprising to no one. However, I will give these women a little bit of grace in that they are extraordinarily young women. They are extraordinarily naive, so they don't know that this is the typical male feminist archetype. Talk about women's rights in the streets, but in the sheets, you're smacking around the women. You're making sure that they know their place, and all you really want from these women is to make you a sandwich.
I am really happy that it's gaining traction now. And I think she worded it perfectly. The woman that I stitched, it's like these champions for women, right? And the idolizing of these men that care about women. It's just a ploy to try to get into their pants.
Now look, is that a little bit of an exaggeration? Yes. Am I hamming up the comedy on this particular issue? 100%. But to be clear, many of the feminist women that I've known in my life, or at least the outwardly stated feminists, behind the scenes are actually into that stuff. Again, too much information. Let's cut right here, and then we'll get back to this whole thing.
Hi guys, I'm on vacation right now, but I wanted to hop on here and create a really quick story time about what happened between me and this creator. This creator added me on Snapchat in late December. We didn't start actually talking until early January, but pretty quickly this creator was talking about very explicit things and saying that he thought I was very beautiful. He was saving chats, complimenting me a lot, and again asking for explicit photos. He would like my TikToks that I had previously made about him. I made a few like thirst videos about him, and he liked those and then later went back and unliked them.
Now look, am I saying that this is good behavior? No. Am I saying that you should do this? You should lie to women in this way and that is acceptable? No, I'm not. I condemn that. Obviously, I'm not into that. Be respectful out there, Mr. Gentleman that's watching my videos. AJW supporters respect women and like women. That is just a fact. But this is not surprising for a number of reasons. First and foremost, we see this all the time among male feminists, as I talked about earlier on, but also we see this a lot with e-celebrities, people who get some modicum of fame through their work, especially those e-celebrities that don't have a lot of experience with women prior. And again, this can be attributed to Harry's young age, and it can be attributed to the fact that he's an e-celebrity for something incredibly nerdy, which is getting into politics. Now, of course, when you don't have a lot of experience with women and all of a sudden the women are dropping DMs on you nonstop, they're flooding you, they're hitting on you, they're flirting with you all the time like Harry was experiencing. Again, we had one of the girls who said that she is the one who started initiating the flirting. We have another girl saying that she agreed to hook up with Harry whenever she's staying at his mansion in New Jersey. Then you end up drowning in it. You end up going for it all at once, and we shouldn't be surprised that Harry Sisson ended up doing so, because again, this is not somebody who normally engages in a field that sees a lot of different various women. Again, politics, not exactly the sexiest profession, but if you're being promoted by the Democratic Party, if you're considered a notable person who's appearing on TV while you're in and around the college age, you shouldn't be surprised that a bunch of different aspiring TikTok creators, a bunch of different aspiring fame people, or a bunch of different people that are into left-wing causes that see you being promoted by the mainstream media will want to get in on that action. They'll buy in, and Harry Sisson is not experienced enough to understand the fact that even though these people are flooding his DMs, even though they seem really interested, even though they're throwing themselves at him, as soon as he does something like announce that he has a girlfriend, they're all going to turn around and attack him for it because they weren't chosen. Now, with all that being said and understood, I also want to say, if you want to go after Harry Sisson, I think the fairest way in order to do so is based on his own stated values and his own hypocrisy, because Harry Sisson has condemned men for acting in this way in the public, even though, again, first opportunity that he got, he decided to do so. And by the way, I'm not saying that I would be above this kind of behavior if I were as young as Harry Sisson when I got some level of popularity. I happen to be fortunate in that I started my channel later in life, when I was older, when I already went through the dating process, when I already had success with women prior to the YouTube channel, so I didn't have that kind of insecurity that people like Harry Sisson end up operating with, and I didn't get flooded, to be clear, with nearly as many women in my DMs. Very few of them exist, but they're not as explicit as some of these ladies, let's be clear about that. So again, I'm not saying that I'm somehow this holier-than-thou figure in comparison. I'm just an older person with more experience and actually dated people when I was not considered a minor e-celebrity and had success and failure during that period of time. And when you have that experience, you understand women when they come up to you and they would not normally be interested in you, but for the fact that you have a large platform. Harry doesn't understand that because he became so famous comparatively to his peers so young that his only experience in times with women has been after the fact. So again, it's not condemnation for that in particular. That being said, what you can go after him for is all of his stated beliefs and stated ideas being in conflict with who he actually is as a person, because Harry Sisson has called out all the different ways that these misogynist right-wingers treat women, only for us to discover that he essentially operates a rotation much in the same way that the caricature of a misogynist that he would criticize operate.
Now, what I will say is that this entire situation has been been blown wildly out of proportion by MAGA Republicans to further their political agenda. Like, we all know that they don't actually care about this. They just hate me. That's why they care. I mean, when has MAGA ever cared about women? Also, MAGA has been spreading misinformation about the situation, so I want to set the record straight. I was not in a relationship with anyone. I wasn't exclusive with anyone. I never met anybody in person. I never spoke to anybody on the phone, and it was done among consensual adults. That's it. It was a very casual thing.
Also, in addition to that, in his apology video, he talks about how MAGA is reacting poorly, how MAGA really can't be trusted. Their criticism of him is completely disingenuous because they don't care about this when it happens on their side. And again, this is why it's important to understand that you're holding this man up to his own standards, his own stated beliefs, because if you don't point that out, he ends up scapegoating around and saying, but you, what about that? And somehow that mitigates his own actions and his own stated beliefs. Again, you said you were the male feminist, Harry. You said that you were all about all these progressive priorities. You called out people who called out the excesses of things like the Me Too movement, and now you find yourself at the center of one of these controversies, and you're trying to still pivot to but MAGA. It's absolutely ridiculous and absurd from top to bottom. And again, another valid criticism of Harry Sisson is the fact that he is quite literally a paid shill. He is an industry plant by the DNC, and this was perfectly proven in Nuance Bro's lengthy video where he talked about all the different various organizations that are funneling money into Harry Sisson's bank account in order for him to say the party line. Remember, this was a guy who was a dyed-in-the-wool Biden supporter who believed that Biden should run from his second term and said that he's perfectly fine and competent and sane and capable of being the next president of the United States of America and again winning re-election as the president of the United States of America, only to turn around on a dime and throw all of his support behind Kamala Harris, pretending like he never heard of Joe Biden, because of course he's paid by the DNC in order to do so. This guy is paid to push the party line, and that is worthy of condemnation, and it's worthy of pointing out, as was done in that Nuance Bro video, how all of these Gen Z for Biden or whatever they call these people in this group now are being influenced and paid in such a way because there's big money on the left-wing side in order to prop up these influencers that comes directly from the political party. Now, make no mistake about it, there are also investors in right-wing media on the other side of the issue, but the fact is, anytime you see these up-and-coming young stars, more often than not, they're just paid shills. And that's not to say that he doesn't believe some of the things that he says. I'm sure he definitely does. I'm sure he's definitely on the left-wing side. But the fact is, if you're expecting somebody who gets paid to say different various things and oftentimes aligns his positions with what is convenient for him to get paid, to not lie to you in situations where he's trying to solicit your nudes, again, you're just not that wise. And again, I'm not trying to come down too hard on all these different various women who got tricked by this, because the fact is they are young, they are naive. That is the overall perception that I got from them. But they are also all coming forward and pretending to be victims in this situation when clearly and obviously they're not. Just because some guy said, oh, we're totally going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, now do the thing that I want you to do, and then he doesn't fulfill that promise, doesn't mean that you're the victim. It doesn't mean that you have somehow been oppressed. It means that you should have a lesson learned. And again, I'll ask the ladies to leave the room because this might be a little bit traumatic for you, and then I'll ask everybody to come in a little closer. It's not surprising that guys will lie in order to get laid or in order to get what they want, especially in a sexual context. Now look, of course, obviously this is just my take on the situation. You might have different opinions from me. Like, for instance, I think that these girls should be called Harry Sissies. I think that would be a good name for his group of groupies, but maybe you think you have a better nickname, and if you do, let me know down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Harry Sisson coming out as a closeted straight or being exposed as a closeted straight. Till next time.